press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello students. Hello students. Let me discuss the questions related to NEET 5. So here we'll start with the first question here. The first question is NEET 5. First question is scientific names of plants are based on the principles and criteria agreed by and are given in. Scientific names of plants are based on the principles and criteria agreed by and are given in. So here, so according to the rules, we say that the some rules according to the rule IUCN, IUCN, ICZN and ICBN. So these three are the rules according to the which the nomenclature has been done. So nomenclature of plants or animals is done on this basis. So here international union of international union of conservation of nature, conservation of nature, the first one. Okay, the abbreviation form of this is International Union of Conservation of Nature. Second one, the second one is International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. Zoological Nomenclature. Okay. Next one. The third one is, the third one, as we repeat here, international code will be common. International code for botanical nomenclature. It is botanical nomenclature. Whatever the rules that are made, according to IUBN. So here the name of the plants and related informations are prescribed on the principles or the criteria based on. So here ICBN, it is not ICZN, it is ICBN, International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. Botanical nomenclature. So according to the botanical nomenclature, according to ICBN, the criteria related to the principles of plants are given according to that. Okay. Next question. Next question is, right. Let me move to this next question. Systeme of Nature or Systeme of Naturae was written by. So the book that was published by the scientist called Carolus Linnaeus, Systeme of Nature, which contains the information about varieties of plants and varieties of animals. So what is the nomenclature of those animals and how they are classified, everything is mentioned in a book published by System of Nature by Carolus Linnaeus. So with that, so the answer will be fourth one. With that, they have given other three scientists there. Darwin, who is famous for his natural theory of selection. John Ray is a scientist who gave the term species for the first time. Next, Aristotle is a scientist, or is called as a is also well known, famous for classification of kingdom, right? So here, so Carolus Linnaeus is the answer for System of Nature was written by Carolus Linnaeus. Okay, let me move to the next question. Next question is again. So the question is, so they are given Linnean hierarchy. So Linnean hierarchy means we say that the arrangement of organisms based on binomial nomenclature. So Linnean hierarchy says that there are 7 systematic positions. So we say that when you go from the ascending order or if you come from the descending order, the first one will be kingdom, second will be, the next taxon will be phylum, the next taxon. After phylum, it will be, so we will be having class. After class, we have order. After order, we have family. Then after family, we have genus. After genus, we have species. So these are called these species, genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom. These systematic position, so Linnaean hierarchy, or each one is called as a taxon. So this is called naming of an organism is based on this taxonomic categories. So they have asked, arrange the following in the ascending order in the Linnaean hierarchy. Once again I'll repeat, arrange the following in the ascending order of Linnaean hierarchy. So based on the Linnaean hierarchy, you should say the ascending order. So the ascending order will be species, genus, family, order, class, phylum, and kingdom. So that will be the order of this Linnaean hierarchy. Okay. The answer will be fourth one. Next one. The next question is, there is a match the following there. The match the following given here. Match the following and choose the correct combination from the options given. So in the column 1, they have given the common name of the species. In column 2, they have given the taxonomic category order is given. So here the name of common name of, so wheat is given in the column 1, wheat. For wheat, the taxonomic order will be Poales. Okay. Then mango, Sapnides. Then for housefly, it is Diphtheria. Then for man, it is Primata. Okay. So here, so what is the master following here? Wheat will be A, 4. A is Poales. Then mango, it is Sapnides. Then C, housefly is Diphtheria. Then man is Primata. So answer for this will be second one. A is 4, B is 3, C is 2, and D is 1. So you should read the taxonomic categories of different species. Next question. Again, there is a question related here. So the question is, match the following items given in the column 1, those in the column 2. Select the correct option given below. So when we reading with the living world, in the living world, we had come across with the taxonomic aids. So we had come across with the point called taxonomic aids. So what are taxonomic aids? Taxonomic aids means that help the taxonomy. So the taxonomic aids that were given to you all were herbarium. Herbarium was one taxonomic aid. Then we have the next one, botanical gardens. Botanical gardens are given. Then zoological parks are given. Zoological parks. Then parks. Then garden. Next we have museum. Museum. Then with this, we have another taxonomic aid called key, catalog. Catalogs are given. Then we have monograph. Monographs are also given. Next we have journals. Journals are also mentioned here. So these taxonomic aids. So what are these taxonomic aids? How they are going to be performed? So the taxonomic aids are how they are going to be help the taxonomy here. So first one is herbarium. So what is herbarium here? It is a place where dried and pressed plant species are mounted on the sheet. So what they are going to do? They are going to collect the plants and they are going to dry them up and they are pressed. They have pressed the plants and specimens are mounted on the sheet. So that type of taxonomic aid is called herbarium. Second one, key. Key is, so key is here. The key is a booklet that contains, so it contains the contrasting characters they say. So booklet will contain, so what does a booklet contain? Here catalog or a key. Key is a booklet that contains contrasting characters. Contrasting character of the species is mentioned in the key. It is a contrasting characters. Character of the species is mentioned there. Next, what is museum? Everybody knows museum is a place where what is going to be preserved in the museum. In the museum, we say that it is a place having collection of preserved plants and animals. Okay. Last one, catalog. A catalog, a list that enumerates methodically all the species found in an area with brief description aiding identification. So the answer for this will be, so it will be fourth one. A is 3, B is 4, C is 1 and D is 2. So answer is fourth one. Okay. Next question. The next question is again. So some questions for this paper, most of the match the followings have been given so that we will get more questions, so that you'll be able to read with many informations there. So yeah, match the following and choose the correct answer again. So here in the list 1, they have given Physalia. In the list 2, it is given with Limulus, C is Ancylostoma, D is Pennectida. Physalia, it is called. So when we are reading with the animals, we also say that some animals, the name of the animals in the animal kingdom, scientific names and even the common names are given. So Physalia, it is commonly called as Portuguese man of war, right? Physalia, it is called as Portuguese man of war. Physalia, Portuguese man of war. Then Limulus, it is called as a living fossil. King crab is called Limulus and it is a living fossil. Then Ancylostoma, it is called hookworm. Then Pennectida, it is called pearl oyster. The common name of Pennectida is called pearl oyster. So the answer will be A, Physalia. So Physalia, Portuguese man of war. B, 3, living fossil. C, 1. C is 4. So here once again here A 2, fourth answer. Fourth is correct here. A is 2, B is 3, C is 4, D is 1. So the answer for 141 will be fourth one. So when you know the exact names of the animals, you can answer the question. Next again another match the following is given here. Coinocytes, Nidoblast, flame cells, Nephridia and comb plates. When we read with the coinocytes, so coinocytes are present in the phylum. Coinocytes are present. Coinocytes are the cells that are present in the phylum Porifera. So in the Porifera, we say that there are 2 layers. So the outer layer is called pinacoderm and the inner layer is called coinoderm. The inner layer is called coinoderm. This outer and inner. So the inner coinoderm is made up of the cells like this. These cells inside the inner coinoderm are called coinocyte cells. So these are flagellated cells anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. These are flagellated cells, right? What are coinocytes? The coinocytes are the cells that are present in the inner layer of poriferous. So these help in pushing the water and they also help in capturing the food also. Okay, next one. So in that we have Nidoblasts. Nidoblasts are the cells that are present in the tentacles of the coelentrates. So in the coelentrates, Nidoblasts are acting as the stinging cells of the health. They help in defense also. So Nidoblasts present where? In the phylum Coelentrata. Then flame cells. So flame cells are present in the phylum Platyhelminthes. Flame cells are present in the phylum Platyhelminthes. They act as excretory organs. Excretory organs. Which one? Flame cells. In the same way, we have Nephridia also. Nephridia are the excretory organs in the phylum Annelida. Okay. These are acting as excretory organs. Okay. So now comb plates. Comb plates are the 8 plates which are helping in locomotion in the phylum Ctenophora. Next, the answer will be coinocytes, phylum Porifera, then Cnidoblasts, coelenterate, flame cells, Platyhelminthes, Nephridia, Annelida, comb plates, Ctenophora. So the answer will be fourth one. Okay. Next question. Next question is the non-cellular layer present between the pinacoderm and coinoderm in the body wall of the poriferans is known as here. The same, I'll repeat here the question here. So on the board when you see here, we see that. So the outer layer is called pinacoderm. The inner layer is called coinoderm. There is a space here. There is a space. This space is non-cellular and healthy. There are no cells in this region. But what is that space called as? That space is called as mesenchyma. Mesenchyma, or it is also called mesoglea. It is also called mesoglea. So they are given there. The other options are mesoderm is given. What is mesoderm? The three germ layers: endoderm, mesoderm, and ectoderm. So it is not called mesoderm. Then middle lamellae they have given. Middle lamellae is present in the chloroplast and in the chloroplast. Next, mesenchyma. So mesenchyma is correct. The non-cellular layer that is present in the between the pinacoderm and coinoderm in the body wall of poriferans is known as mesenchyma. Next. Next question. Metagenesis refers to. So here, as we know that metagenesis. What is metagenesis? It is also called as alternation of generation. Alternation of generation will occur in the phylum called Coelenterata. Coelenterata there is a alternation traits. There is alternation of generation. Alternation of generation. Alternation of generation is C. So what is alternation of generation here? So the alternation of generation in the phylum Coelenterata. So we say that asexual polyp produces sexual polyp, sexual medusa. Asexual polyp will produce sexual medusa, and now sexual medusa produces asexual polyp. It produces asexual polyp. So this different body forms that are formed asexually and sexually, the both the asexual and sexual means of reproductions are involved in the phylum Coelenterata. So the best example for metagenesis is Obelia. The animal Obelia will undergo a process called alternation of generation, or it is also called metagenesis. Metagenesis. Right? What is metagenesis? Asexual polyp will convert or it will produce sexual medusa, and sexual medusa produces asexual polyp. So this type of alternation of generation where both the asexual mode of reproduction and sexual mode of reproduction is involved, that is called alternation of generation between asexual and sexual phase of an organism. So the answer will be fourth one. But the first option, second and third, occurrence of drastic change in the form during the post-embryonic development. So it is not at all related to that. Presence of segmented body and parthenogenetic mode of reproduction. Segmented bodies in the annelid, parthenogenic properties in the arthropods. Presence of different forms of the. So this is called metamorphosis. It will occur again in the arthropods only. So alternation of generation means, or metagenesis means, asexual and sexual phase of an organism. Okay, fourth one is correct. Next question. The next question is, okay, there is an assertion and reasoning question. In Pleurobrachia, 8 comb-like ciliary plates In Pleurobrachia, 8 comb like ciliary plates called comb plates are present on the body that help in locomotion. This is correct. So in the Ctenophora, if we take the diagram of the Ctenophora, Pleurobrachia tagondake, inside the Pleurobrachia when we write, there are 8 plates we say. One inside the body of animal, right? In this way, the comb plates are formed. These comb plates, so these comb plates that will help in locomotion and health. So these comb plates that are having cilia are there inside the body. If I take, there are minute cilia slings. So again, it is having something like this, right? We have seen the diagram. So minute cilia are present inside the comb plates. With that, we have one flagellae like this, right? This is called pleurobrachia. This pleurobrachia, the pleurobrachia has 8 comb like ciliary plates called comb plates are present in the body that help in locomotion. Comb plates help in locomotion. Next question is, pleurobrachia reproduce sexually and its life cycle includes sidiped larva. So this is very important. You should learn this. You should know this. Sidiped larva. Sidiped larva is present. Okay, sidiped larva in the phylum Ctenophora, right? So the answer will be both. Assertion and reason are true, and reason is the both assertion and reason are true, but reason is not the correct explanation of the assertion. So the answer will be second one. Okay, next question. So the diagram is given. The kind of coelom present in the diagram given below is the characteristics of. So as we see the diagram, we should know that. So it is a diagram of a coelom there. So what is coelom? So how many types of coelom are there? You should know this. So here, coelom is a cavity. Coelom is the cavity that is present. Cavity present between present between between body wall and the gut. Okay, so that is called coelom. So the coelom is the cavity that is present between the body wall and the gut. But here they have given the diagram there. If this if the coelom is lined by 3 germ layers, if the coelom is lined by 3 germ layers, it is called coelomate or coelom is present. If the body is lined by only ectoderm and mesoderm, middle mesoderm is absent, that type of animals are called acoelomates. And here, if ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm is present, but mesoderm is scattered here and there, in the middle mesoderm, the cells have been scattered. That type of coelom is called pseudocoelomate. So the diagram that I have given in the question is, it is a diagram of pseudocoelomates. So pseudocoelomates examples are roundworms. As we read with the phylum Aschelominthes, that in the phylum Aschelominthes, the coelom is pseudocoelomates. It is a diagram of roundworms. Then what about earthworm? Earthworm is again, it is a coelomate. Tapeworm, it is a acoelomate. Cockroach is a coelomate. So the answer will be first one. So roundworms are having this type of coelom. This type of coelom is called as pseudocoelomate. The diagram that is given is diagram given to you all is pseudocoelomates. Pseudocoelomate. Right? Pseudocoelomate. Next one. Next question. Again, so this paper will include many match the following so that you'll get with the many different informations there. So here, match the following and select the correct option there. Again, there is a match the following. Cyclostomes, aves, tunicates, balanoglosses, ostichs. Cyclostomes. When you come with the cyclostome belong to the class called Agnatha or belong to the section called Agnatha there. So what is Agnatha now? So when you read with the chordata, when you are reading in your PU classes chordata. So chordata is classified into 3 subphylum. In that we have Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrata. Vertebrata is divided into two sections. Vertebrata is divided into two sections. One is called Agnatha, and another one is called Gnathostomata. Right? In this, Agnatha and Gnathostomata. Agnatha are the animals without jaw. So the animals without jaw are called Agnatha. Gnathostomata is with jaw. So with jaw, the animals with jaw are called Gnathostomata. In is only one class we are reading. That one class is called Cyclostomata. Okay. So their option given to you all, they have given here Cyclostomata, Agnatha. Then aves. Aves are the animals. So when you go for the again next classification here, so we say that these Gnathostomatas are divided into two superclass. The superclass is called Pisces and here Tetrapoda. So Tetrapoda are the animals with legs, forelimbs and hind limbs are present. So in this Tetrapoda we have amphibians, then we have reptiles are there, then we have aves and mammals. Okay, so aves are coming under the mammalia. So aves are coming under the class, or they are coming under the class, a section super class called tetrapod. Next, tunicates. Tunicates are also called as urochordate. So urochordate na tunicates ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Balanoglossus is an example for hemichordate. So the answer will be here. Cyclostomata, it is A3. Next is Tetrapoda, C2. Tunicates, Urochordata, D1. Balanoglossus, Hemichordata. E. Osteichthyes fishes. The bony fishes are called osteichthyes. So the answer will be, the answer is third one. A3, B5, C2, then D1 and E4. Next question. Next question is, see the question there. The question is, choose the incorrect statements from the following. So they are asking you, choose the incorrect statements. So the statements are, adipose tissue is a type of dense connective tissue. Adipose tissue is a type of dense connective tissue. The statement itself is wrong. Adipose tissue is not a type of dense connective tissue, but it is a type of loose connective tissue. So when we read with the adipose tissue, we said that the adipocyte cells are scattered here and there. So adipose tissue, it is a loose connective tissue. It is loose connective tissue. Right? Loose connective tissue. So the first statement what they have given, adipose tissue is a type of dense connective tissue. It is not a dense, it is a loose connective tissue. So the next statement is, tendons attach muscle to bone. That is correct. Tendons will attach muscle to bone. Cartilage is made up of chondrocyte. The cells of the cartilage are called chondrocyte. That is also correct. Ciliated epithelium is modified columnar epithelium. So this is also very important. As you read with the structural unit there, we say that the cells are present on the basement membrane. Then here, columnar epithelium. The columnar epithelium is modified. The columnar epithelium is modified into ciliated epithelium lens. When we read with the diagram, ciliated epithelium is formed. Modified columnar epithelium is called ciliated epithelium. Okay. So the answer will be first one. Adipose tissue is a type of dense connective tissue. It is wrong. Next question. Okay. The next question is, choose the correctly matched pair. Choose the correctly matched pair. So they have given that inner lining of salivary duct. So inner lining of salivary duct, they are made up of, they have given the answer as ciliated epithelium. Inner lining of salivary duct contains, salivary duct, inside the salivary duct we have there compound epithelium is present. Compound epithelium is present. What is compound epithelium? It is a layer. So on the basement membrane we are having 2 to 3 layer of cells. Compound epithelium is nothing but when on the basement membrane we have 2 to 3 layer of cells. That type of epithelium is called compound epithelium, right? Next, so salivary ducts contains compound epithelium, so that pair is wrong. Moist surface of the buccal cavity, they have given with the glandular epithelium. There also it is not glandular epithelium, it is again compound epithelium only. So buccal cavity, moist surface of buccal cavity also contains moist surface of buccal cavity. It also contains what? Compound epithelium. Then tubular parts of nephron, this is correct. Tubular parts of nephron means what? Here descending limb and ascending limb. Ascending limb and descending limb are having the with the PCT and DCT also they have cuboidal epithelium. That is correct. Fourth one, inner surface of bronchioles is having squamous epithelium. That is wrong again. Inner surface is having what? Inner surface of the bronchioles. Bronchioles are having again here bronchioles, it is ciliated epithelium. Here. Okay, so the answer will be third one. Tubular parts of nephrons is having cuboidal epithelium. Other three are wrong. Next question. Okay, bone is mainly composed of. So we know that bone is a hard tissue that is made up of some components of the bone are, as we read, we say that bone contains of calcium carbonate or it also made up of phosphorus. So direct question, with the direct answer you should know that bone is mainly composed of iron and phosphorus. That is wrong. Sulfur and calcium anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, that is also wrong. But the third option, calcium and phosphorus, is correct. Calcium and magnesium is wrong. So the third one will be correct for this question. Bone is mainly composed of calcium and phosphorus. Okay, next one. Next question. The question is this one. Mast cells of the connective tissue. Mast cell. So we have read in the connective tissue that there are specialized cells in the connective tissue called mast cells. So mast cells are present. So what is the function of this mast cells? What they will do? We have read with macrophages, then mast cells, and even some plasma cells are also there. So what is the function of mast cells? Mast cells will secrete. They secrete what? They secrete the chemical called. They secrete the chemicals called heparin. The chemicals called heparin, which is an anticoagulant. It is an anticoagulant of the health. Anticoagulant agent. It is an anticoagulant agent. Then another chemical called histamine. Histamine is also secreted by the mast cells. And another chemical called serotonin. Serotonin is also secreted by the mast cells. So here, this heparin is an anticoagulant agent. Histamine and serotonin are released during a condition called allergy. So during allergy, the chemicals called histamine and serotonin are secreted by the mast cells. So for this, an antibody called IgE is going to act. Right? Already most of you all know that. So here, mast cells of the connective tissue contain what? So they are given, the first option is vasopressin and relaxin. Vasopressin and relaxin. Relaxin is the hormone that is responsible in reproduction. So during reproduction, relaxation hormone is needed. So during pasteurization also. Vasopressin, it is related to the, so during urine formation, these hormones will maintain the osmoregularity. Then heparin and histamine. So this is correct. Heparin and histamine are the chemicals that are secreted by the mast cell. Then heparin and calcitonin anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. Heparin anticoagulant ಆದರೆ calcitonin will help in maintaining the calcium metabolism. Serotonin and melanin anta. Serotonin is chemical, but melanin is a pigmentation that is secreted by the melanin MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone in the melanin na secrete agire. So the answer will be second one, heparin and histamine. Next one. Okay, next question. The question is intercalated disc. Intercalated discs are characteristics of muscles. So intercalated disc anta banda takshana you should suddenly switch off to the muscle called cardiac muscle. So only in the cardiac muscle we have intercalated discs. So between the cardiac muscles we know that cardiac muscles are branched. The branched cardiac muscles, between them, so between the cardiac muscles, there are some intercalated disc lines. So these intercalated discs that are present where they are asking. So we say that intercalated discs are present. Intercalated discs are present in the cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle ಅಲ್ಲಿ intercalated discಗಳು ಇರ್ತವೆ. So intercalated discಗಳು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತವೆ cardiac muscle ಅಲ್ಲಿ? They help in sending the vibrations. They help in sending the vibration from one muscle to the other. So they help in sending what? They help in sending the okay, they help in permit of wave or sending of vibrations or permitting the wave. They help in permitting the wave from one muscle to the other muscle. So the intercalated disc is help in permitting the wave. So they are given heart, thigh, urinary bladder and stomach. Heart is the correct answer. So heart contains cardiac muscles. So intercalated discs are formed in the heart. Now thigh, urinary bladder and stomach. So thigh, urinary bladder contains smooth muscle and even the stomach also. Next question. Okay, next is again there is a match the following. The match the following is match the following regarding the morphology of cockroach and choose a correct option. So they are given in the list 1. In the list 1 they have given tergites. Then in the list 2, in the list 1 tergites are given. Then we have tergites, tegumina, hypopharynx, labium, labrum. Tergites are called as dorsal sclerites. So when we read with the cockroach, in the cockroach we say that tergites, the sclerites, there are 3 sclerites in the cockroach. So here tergites are called dorsal sclerites. Then we have pleura. Then we have pleura and sternum. Sternum are called ventral sclerite. Pleura is called as lateral sclerite. So they have given only with what? Tergites ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So they are dorsal sclerite. So the next one is tegumina. Tegumin is called forewing. In the body of cockroach. Forewing. Next, hypopharynx. Hypopharynx is called the tongue of the cockroach. Hypopharynx is called the tongue of the cockroach. Next one is labium and labrum. Labium is called lower lip. Labium is called lower lip of the cockroach, and labrum is called as upper lip. Upper lip of cockroach. Okay, so you should know the parts of the cockroach when you are reading with the structural anatomy of cockroach. So tergites are dorsal sclerite, 1 is C. Then tegumin are forewings, 2 is A. Then hypopharynx is called tongue, D. Then labium it is lower lip, so 4 is E. Then 5 is B. So the answer will be fourth one. So for this question The answer is fourth one. Okay, next one. Again, so I said starting only most of the match the followings are given, so that we'll cover the syllabus, most of the syllabus there. Match the following and choose the correct answer there. The match the following given here is protein in the list 1, unsaturated fatty acids, then nucleic acids, polysaccharide. So in the proteins we say that the bond that is formed between the two amino acids is called peptide bond. In unsaturated fatty acid it is C double bond C. So saturated and unsaturated. So double bond is formed between the two carbon molecules. The nucleic acid, the bond that is formed is called phosphodiester bond. Between the nitrogen base and the pentose sugar, there is a bond. The nitrogen base and pentose sugar, there is a bond called phosphodiester bond. Right? Nucleic acids, phosphodiester bond. Polysaccharides, glycosidic bond. So peptide bond and glycosidic bonds are formed by the elimination of water and healthy. So the answer will be protein. It is peptide bond A4. Next, unsaturated fatty acid C double bond. Right? So, nucleic acid phosphodiester bond D polysaccharide glycosidic bond. So the answer will be second one A4, B1, C2 and D3. So the answer is second one. Next one. The next question is which of the following is a disaccharide? So they are given the which is the disaccharide. What is a disaccharide? That is made up of two sugar units on the hand. So glucose is a monosaccharide, lactose is a disaccharide now. So lactose is a disaccharide. So what does lactose contain? Lactose contains glucose and galactose at the hand. So lactose is a disaccharide. Lactose is a disaccharide. Why it is a disaccharide? Because it is a disaccharide because it contains two sugar units. One is glucose and another one is called galactose. Galactose. Right? So lactose is a disaccharide. So which is a disaccharide they are asking. So what is a starch then? Starch is a polysaccharide. Students, starch is a polysaccharide. What do you mean by a polysaccharide? A carbohydrate that is made up of many sugar units. It is made up of many sugar units. So number is more. That type of molecule of the carbohydrate is called as a starch. Then what is galactose? Again galactose is a monosaccharide. So the answer will be second one, lactose. Which of the following is a disaccharide and the lactose is correct. Next one. This question. So most of the times we won't read with the tabular columns which are given in the books. So be careful with that. Which of the following glucose transporters is insulin independent at the health? So here, so insulin independent ಯಾವುದು ಅಂತ glucose transporter GLU. So GLUT ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ so capital letters ಅಲ್ಲಿ GLUT. So this means that glucose transporters ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Glucose transporters. So here for transporting glucose transporters. So they have given with many numbers. GLUT4 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, GLUT1 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, GLUT2 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, GLUT3 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. So all these will help in transport of glucose to the different parts of the human body. So GLUT4, it is a insulin independent. So it is dependent for transport of glucose. It is dependent on the hormone called insulin. Insulin hormone anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Insulin dependent transporter. Insulin hormone ಮೇಲೆ it is dependent. It will depend anta ಹೇಳಿ. To transport the glucose, it is dependent on the insulin hormone. But all other three are insulin independent. They don't need the insulin to transport the glucose. So GLUT1 is insulin independent, GLUT2 is, so it will transport the glucose to the liver and it will transport glucose to the liver. It transports glucose to liver, but it is not taking the help of insulin. Then with that we have GLUT3. it transport the glucose to the brain cells. It transport the glucose to the brain cells. So GLUT4, it is a independent. It is independent of, sorry, it is dependent of insulin hormone. Other three are independent of insulin hormone. So the answer will be fourth one. Okay. Next one. So this one, concavalin A. So concavalin A, it is called as, so you know in the your first year class there are primary metabolites and secondary metabolites. In the secondary metabolites, we say that some are given secondary metabolites. Secondary metabolites are useful for human beings. Secondary metabolites are useful for human health. In the secondary metabolites, we have alkaloids. Alkaloids are there. Alkaloids, an example like we have morphine. Morphine is there. Then we have codeine or codeine. Okay. Then we have pigments. Pigments are there. Some we have essential oils are there. Essential oils like grass oil, something they have given, essential oil. Then they have given with the pigments are there. The pigments like carotid, you can write xanthophyll, then carotid, etc. Then essential oil is grass oil. Then the next one is con concavalin. Concavalin, it is concavalin, it is called lecithin. Lecithin is called as concavalin. So the answer will be what? It is fourth one. So lecithin, it is a concavalin. So it is helping in, so it is a carbohydrate binding protein anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. It is carbohydrate binding protein. Concavalin, it is called as carbohydrate binding protein. It is carbohydrate binding protein. Okay. Next question. Concavalin A is a lecithin. Okay, answer is fourth one. Next one. The next one is the question is, select the favorable conditions required for formation of oxyhemoglobin complex. For the formation of oxyhemoglobin, when the oxygen will bind with hemoglobin. So for the transport of oxygen, what we need? We need the binding of oxygen with the hemoglobin. So when the oxygen and hemoglobin will bind at the alveoli, what should be the condition? The condition should be for formation of oxyhemoglobin in the alveoli. The conditions are, they should have high partial pressure of oxygen, low partial pressure of carbon dioxide, low concentration of H plus ions, and low temperature. So these are called the conditions for binding of oxygen with the hemoglobin. For the saturation of oxygen with hemoglobin at alveoli, these are the conditions. So the answer will be second one. High partial pressure of oxygen, low partial pressure of carbon dioxide, less H plus ion concentration, and low temperature. Okay. So the answer will be, for this question, select the favorable conditions required for formation of oxyhemoglobin at alveoli. The answer will be second one. High partial pressure of oxygen, low partial pressure of carbon dioxide, less H plus concentration, low temperature. Okay. Next question. So this is direct question. You should know here. Partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide in healthy human lungs. Partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide in healthy human lung alveoli are respectively nearest to. So it is a direct question. It is 104 and 40 mmHg. In the alveoli, the partial pressure of oxygen should be 104 mmHg. So partial pressure of oxygen, it should be 104 mmHg, and partial pressure of carbon dioxide should be 40 mmHg. Where? At the alveoli. At alveoli. Right? Next one. So the answer is first one, 104 and 40 mmHg. So the second one will be in the tissues then. So when you know the correct partial pressures of the oxygen and carbon dioxide, you can answer that first. Next one. Emphysema is a condition. So it is a disorder of respiratory system. Epiphysemia or emphysema, it is a condition of, or it is a disorder of respiratory system. When we are reading with respiratory disorders, when we read with the disorders of respiratory system, we have come across emphysema. It is a condition where the lungs have been disturbed. So if there is accumulation of more nicotine, so the lungs will be having the nicotine deposition. Due to that, there is no free flow of oxygen to the lungs and the health. And due to high cigarette smoking also, we will have the problem called emphysema. So which type of disease it is? It is whether it is a cardiovascular disease. It is not a cardiovascular disease. It is not related to heart. Then pulmonary disease. This is correct. So the diseases are the organs that are regarding to lungs are called as pulmonary. So pulmonary disease. Neural disease, brain. Renal disease, kidney. So emphysema will attack the lungs. So it is called as a pulmonary disease. Second one is correct. Next question. Next is lungs are made up of air-filled sacs. The alveoli do not collapse even after forceful expiration, because so we know that when we take in air, so in the normal breathing, taking in of air and leaving in of air, that volume is called as tidal volume. Then when we take in air forcefully and leave out the air forcefully out, so taking in of air forcefully, that is called as inspiratory reserve volume. Removing out of the air forcefully, it is called as expiratory reserve volume. So when we do this, so what is the condition if there is forceful expiration? During forceful expiration, whether the lungs will collapse thereafter. So during forceful expiration, there is little amount of air left, little amount of air in the alveoli. Little amount of air is left in the alveoli. So that volume of air is called residual volume. Due to that, there is no collapsing of the lungs. Okay. So the answer for this one will be fourth one, residual volume. Next question. So this one, which one is a cofactor of proteolytic enzymes? So we know that proteolytic enzymes are there. In the proteolytic enzymes, for the function of proteolytic enzymes, so with the catalyst, so already enzyme called carboxypeptidase is a catalyst which is acting as an enzyme, but with that also we need a cofactor. So here, what are cofactors? Cofactors are called as non-protein parts. Cofactors are called as non-protein parts. Non-proteins which will enhance the rate of reaction. Enhance the rate of reaction with the enzymes. Reactions with enzymes. So some of the cofactors given are, so the one cofactor is Zn, then Fe, right? Some cofactors are given there, Co, Mg. So which is involved as a cofactor in carboxypeptidase? So the answer will be Zn. So second one is correct. So Zn is the cofactor that is involved in proteolytic enzyme called carboxypeptidase. peptidases for conversion there. Next question. The next one is, which enzyme is responsible for conversion of inactive fibrinogen into fibrin? So this is important. So when we are reading with blood clotting mechanism. So when we read with blood clotting mechanism, we have come across. So during blood coagulation, so we had come across with the mechanism here. Inactive fibrinogen will convert, it will convert into active fibrin with the help of enzyme protein called thrombin anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, thrombin. So in the second reaction we will write inactive prothrombin, it will convert into active thrombin by the help of an enzyme called thrombokinase. Okay. So the answer for this question will be with the calcium ions antana ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. So the answer is, which enzyme is responsible for conversion of inactive fibrinogens to fibrin? So the answer is thrombin. Second one is correct. So what is renin? Renin is an enzyme which is involved in protein digestion. Then epinephrine, it is a hormone that is present in the adrenaline region for regulation of urine. Next question. In which of the following situation is there a risk factor for children of incurring erythroblastophytalis? So what is erythroblastophytalis is important here. So when we read in the first year class in the body fluids and circulation, we had read with a concept called erythroblastosis fetalis. So here fetalis, it is the breakdown of RBC. Will occur here. So what is the condition they are asking? When does the RBCs will break down? In which condition? When the mother is Rh negative, and father is Rh positive. This is one condition. If we come with the fetus, if the same option is given in the same form, mother is Rh negative and fetus is Rh positive. Also. So they give it the any option there. So what happens in our body that when we read? So we say that Rh antigen, if the Rh antigen is present on the surface of RBC, those are called as positive. And if O positive, B positive, if the Rh antigen is not present, they are called as negative group. So here erythroblastophetalis ಆಗಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ? If the mother is carrying, when she is pregnant for the first time, if the fetus is positive and mother is negative, so what happens? The mother blood will not mix with the fetus blood because there is a placental barrier. As soon the delivery of the first baby occurs, when the first baby is going to be delivered, during that time, so the blood of the mother may mix with the blood of the baby. Due to the Rh negative antigens will identify the fetus blood and it will produce the antibodies. So this is done in the first baby carrying. As soon the same mother, if she goes for the second continuous next baby carrying, what happens? Already the mother has developed with the antibodies against the Rh positive there. So if again the fetus is Rh positive, the antibodies that are produced in the mother's blood will go and mix with the positive of the fetus and it may lead to the death of the fetus. Due to that, there is a condition called erythroblastophetalis. Okay. So this condition is erythroblastophetalis. So the answer will be second one. Mother is Rh negative and father is Rh positive. Due to that, the condition will lead to erythroblastophetalis and the fetus may die. So they prefer that. So they will tell that after the delivery of the first baby, the mother should be given with an injection called Rogam anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, so that she can save the second baby. Next one. Select the correct combinations of statements for lymph. So what is a lymph? Lymph is a fluid that is present in the body fluids. So here the options given are, so lymphatic vessels, lymph. It helps to maintain the body fluids of the body. So that statement is wrong. It won't maintain the balance of the fluid. Second one, it is contained in the lymphatic vessels and lymphatic organs. So lymphatic vessels and lymphatic organs. Lymphatic organs are thymus, we have bone marrow, then we have spleen, appendix, tonsils, then we have pairs of patches. All those are called as lymphatic organs where lymphocytes are produced. So it is contained in lymphatic vessel and lymphatic organs. So what is the main function of lymphatic organs or lymphatic vessels? So they help in formation of lymphocytes and they help in transport of lymphocytes and help. It is derived from tissue fluid and ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. So it is not derived from tissue fluid. So it is not derived from tissue fluid. Sorry, it is derived from tissue fluid. Next, it contains less antibodies than plasma. So I said that lymphocytes are produced in the lymphatic vessels. That is the theme, that antibodies are produced in the lymphatic vessels and lymphatic organ. It flows in both directions. It will not flow in both directions. It will flow only in the unidirectional. So last one, it helps to conserve the proteins and remove the bacteria. So conserve the proteins means antibodies. Antibodies are going to be preserved in the lymphocyte form and lymphatic vessels, and they'll remove the bacteria. They'll produce the proteins which will kill the bacteria. So antigens of the bacteria, for that lymphocytes are produced. So the answer will be second one. Second, third, 4 and 6 are correct. Only 1 and 5 are wrong. So the second option is correct. Next one. Duration of cardiac cycle. So duration of cardiac cycle is 0.8 seconds. So we should know here, for atrial contraction it requires, atrial contraction it is 0.1 second, atrial contraction or atrial systole it is 0.1 second, then ventricular systole, it is 0.3 seconds, then ventricular diastole, relax, diastole it is 0.4 seconds. So total it is 0.8 seconds. So the cardiac cycle will run for how much time? 0.8 seconds. So the answer is 0.8 seconds. So the answer is third one. Next one. The next question is, the depolarization of atria is represented by, the depolarization of atria is represented by P wave. So we say that, so depolarization means, so it is a relaxation. So atrial relaxation will start with the P wave. So then QRS, it is a contraction there, it is a repolarization of, right, uh, QRS, it is a depolarization of ventricles, and repolarization of ventricles is T wave. So the answer is T wave. Next one. The thickening of the walls of the arteries is called as arteriosclerosis. Thickening of the walls of the arteries is called as arteriosclerosis. Due to the deposition of cholesterol and calcium plaques, it may lead to the arteriosclerosis, that is thickening of the walls of arteries. Then they have given with the arthritis. Arthritis, it is an inflammation of joints. Then aneurysm. Aneurysm, it is nothing but swelling of the arteries. So the answer will be first one. Arteriosclerosis is the thickening of the wall of artery. Next question. Next one is, so compare the statement A and B. When the urine moves through the descending limb, it becomes hypertonic. Yes. When the urine moves from descending limb to the ascending limb, there, so the descending limb is permeable to water ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ it is impermeable to electrolytes ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತಾ, urine will become hypertonic. So descending limb ಅಲ್ಲಿ it becomes hypertonic. As it passes to the ascending limb, annulus loop is hypotonic because it is permeable to water. It is, sorry, descending limb is permeable to water and impermeable to electrons adaga it will be hypertonic when it moves. Then when it moves to the ascending limb, it is permeable to electrolytes and impermeable to water. So the statement A is correct. The statement 2 is the descending limb is permeable to sodium. Descending limb is not permeable to sodium. It is impermeable to sodium. While the ascending limb is permeable to sodium, impermeable to sodium, it is permeable to sodium. So the statement A is correct. Statement here, the answer is statement A is wrong and B is correct. The second one will be correct. Okay, next one. Inner lining of the kidney are called as podocytes. In the glomerulus, when we read with the Bowman's capsule, the cells that are helping in transport of the molecules into the Bowman's capsule are called as podocytes. Nephrocytes are not present in the inner lining of the kidney. Choanocytes in the phylum Porifera. Amoebocytes are also in the phylum Porifera. Next question. Concentration of urine is controlled by. Concentration of urine is controlled by which hormone they are asking? The hormone is called ADH. Concentration of urine is controlled by an hormone called ADH, antidiuretic hormone. MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone. Oxytocin hormone is responsible for pasteurization. ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, it is responsible for cortisols. Okay, so the answer will be ADH. Next question. Dialysis is done when a person is suffering from. So dialysis is done when the person is suffering from failure of the kidneys. When the kidneys are not functioning properly, the excretory waste, urine, is not going to be removed properly, or urea, ammonia and uric acid are not properly removed. So that condition is called uremia. So diabetes means it is the glucose transport is not proper. Polyuria means it is rigorous urination. Hemodialysis anta heltene. So uremia is a condition when accumulation of urea has taken place. For that purpose, dialysis is done. Hemodialysis is the method to remove the urea. Okay, the answer is second one. Next one. In the muscle contraction, the functional unit of contraction is the. So when we read with the muscle contraction, we say that between the two Z lines where thick and thin filaments are present, between the two Z lines where thick and thin filaments are present, thick and thin. So the thick and thin filaments means two Z lines. Between them we have thin and thick bands. Thin bands and thick bands. Between them we have thick bands like this. So actin is called I, myosin is called A, and this is one Z line and this is one Z line. So between the two Z lines, that structural unit is called as sarcomere, and so this is called a functional unit of muscles. So the answer will be first one. Okay, in the muscles, the functional unit of contraction is the portion of myofibrils between the two successive Z lines. Next one. Let's see that. Complete the following paragraph. Complete the following paragraph by selecting the correct option. Pelvic girdle. Pelvic girdle consists of two coaxial bones. Each coaxial bone is formed by the fusion of three bones. Coaxial bones are formed by the fusion of three bones. The three bones of the pelvic girdle. By the fusion, if I take this is the pelvic girdle. In the pelvic girdle, it is formed by the fusion of three bones. One is called ilium, one is called ischium, and another one is called pubis. The three coaxial bones which are fused, and it is called acetobulum. By a joint called fibrous joint occurred. By a joint called fibrous joint. Okay. So the answer will be, so here clavicle, scapula, sternum, glenoid, hyaline. So first option is related to pectoral girdle. Ulna radius, tarsals, acromion, fibrous. Ulna radius, all are the bones of the hand. Next, sarcum, scapula, clavicle. So some are the related to pelvic, some are related to pectoral, glenoid joint. Okay. So the fourth option is correct. Ilium, ischium, pubis, acetobulum, and fibrous joint. Okay. So the answer is fourth one. Next question. An acromion. An acromion process is characteristically found in. So it is present in the pectoral girdle. Acromion process in the healthy way between the scapula bone and the clavicle bone. So an acromion process is characteristically found in pectoral girdle of the mammal. Scapula and the ikkada hindigada ira bone. So scapula and clavicle bone that is present in the beauty bone ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಧ್ಯ ಒಂದು acromion process ಅಂತ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. That process is called the bone that is going to be formed between the scapula and the clavicle or the pectoral girdle of the mammals is called acromion process. The answer is fourth one. Next one. The U-shaped bone. So the next one is the U-shaped bone present at the base of the buccal cavity is. The U-shaped bone present in the base of the buccal cavity is called hyoid bone. So this is very important. So U-shaped bone that is present in the buccal cavity and healthy. So malleus and it is the bone of the ear. Incus, malleus and stapes inner ear. Ethmoid and the bone that is present in the nasal cavity. Zygomatic and the bone that is present in the jaw region. So the answer will be hyoid bone is a U-shaped bone that is present in the buccal cavity. So the answer is fourth one. Next question. Myasthenia gravis is an example of. So myasthenia gravis, it is a disorder of the muscles. So muscles are a disorder henಗೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ when the neurotransmitters are going to be sent from brain to the muscles. So if there is a failure of impulses that are going to be sent to the muscle, it leads to a problem called myasthenia gravis. So that type of disease where there is a disorder that is called autoimmune response. Autoimmune response means where the cells will think the cells as non-self and they start to attack. That type of disease is called autoimmune disease. Myasthenia gravis, it is an example of autoimmune diseases. Okay. Next question. Organ of Corte helps in. So organ of Corte, it is an organ of the ear. In the inner ear there is a cochleae. In the cochleae the organ of Corte is formed. This organ of Corte will help in hearing. So external ear, middle ear and inner ear. From the external ear the sound will enter to the middle ear where the ear ossicles are there. From there the ear ossicle will send the vibration to the inner ear, that is called a organ of Corte. So the answer will be hearing. So hearing is correct. Or organ of Corte is present where, or it is a function of which one? Hearing. Next one. So the diagram of eye is given there. So eye diagram only they have given C, D, B and A. So which is correct they are asking. C is aqueous chamber, A is retina, D is sclera, B is fovea. So which option is correct they are asking. So aqueous chamber, it helps in sending the nutrients to the lens and iris ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. That option is wrong. Choroid, it is an anterior part from the ciliary body. So choroid also sends the nutrients to the retina. So that option is also wrong. Retina, so this is correct. Retina has the rod and cone cells where they are acting as a photopigments anta helti with the photoreceptors. So the third answer is correct. Blind spot B antana, that blind spot it is fovea, not blind spot. Okay, so the answer will be third one. Okay, last question here. Which part of the brain is responsible for thermoregulation? So when we are reading with the brain, the functions of the brain, we say that medulla oblongata is an organ of the brain where it maintains the cardiovascular activity and respiratory activity. Then cerebrum, it is a part of the brain. Most of the motor functions are being controlled. Hypothalamus is correct. So hypothalamus is the part of the brain where it is maintaining the body temperature or thermoregulation. What is corpus callosum then? Between the cerebral hemisphere there is a corpus callosum. So it will hold the cerebrums by a fluid called corpus callosum. So the answer is hypothalamus is correct. Thank you.